Cars used to have features that seem almost impossible today. Some were brilliant, some were dangerous, and some were so strange that if you described them to a younger driver today, they probably wouldn't believe you. Record players inside cars, headlights with their own windshield wipers, seatbelts that moved by themselves, and headlights that actually turned with the steering wheel. These weren't concepts, they weren't prototypes, they were real features, installed in real production cars that people drove every day. And then, one by one, they disappeared. Some became obsolete, some became too complicated, and others simply couldn't survive the modern automobile. These are the car features that disappeared forever, and why they're probably never coming back. Let's start with the one that sounds completely made up. In 1956, you could buy a Chrysler with a record player built into the dashboard. A real vinyl record player, designed to work while the car was moving. It was called the Highway Hi-Fi, and it was developed by Peter Goldmark, the same engineer behind the long-playing record. But there was an obvious problem. Record players hate movement. Every bump in the road could send the needle jumping across the record. So Goldmark created special 7-inch records, spinning at just 16 and 2/3 revolutions per minute. They could hold up to 45 minutes of music on each side, and a heavily weighted tone arm helped keep the needle in the groove. During testing, the system reportedly worked remarkably well. But in the real world, things were different. Records skipped, warranty problems followed, and the system quickly disappeared. Then, magnetic tape arrived, and could do the same job without caring about bumps in the road. The record player inside the dashboard was already obsolete. This next one sounds like a joke, but it appeared on some of the most respected cars in the world. Tiny windshield wipers, mounted directly onto the headlights. Mercedes-Benz used them, Volvo used them, Saab used them, even BMW used them. And as ridiculous as they looked, they actually solved a real problem. In Northern Europe, snow, road salt, and grime could quickly cover a car's headlights. And dirty headlights meant dramatically less light reaching the road. So manufacturers gave the headlights their own miniature cleaning system. Tiny wipers swept across the lenses, keeping them clear during long, dark winters. But eventually, headlight technology changed. Glass lenses gave way to more modern designs. Cleaning systems improved, and high-pressure washer jets could blast dirt away without needing tiny moving wipers. Suddenly, the little headlight wipers weren't necessary anymore. A genuinely useful solution, made obsolete by better technology. If you drove in the late 1980s or early 1990s, you might remember this. You'd get into the car, close the door, and the seatbelt would move by itself. A shoulder belt mounted on a motorized track would slide along the door frame and automatically move across your chest. At the time, it looked like the future. But the real reason it existed was much less exciting. The United States introduced new rules requiring passive restraint systems, safety equipment that worked without the driver having to do anything. Manufacturers had two main options: install airbags, which were still expensive, or use automatic seatbelts, which were cheaper. Many chose the belts. But there was a problem. They were awkward. Drivers hated them, and on many systems, the lap belt still had to be fastened manually, which people sometimes forgot to do. Then airbags became cheaper, more common, and eventually mandatory. The automatic seatbelt had lost its reason to exist, and by the mid-1990s, one of the strangest safety features ever put into mass production cars had almost completely disappeared. Before a phone lived in everyone's pocket, having one inside your car was one of the ultimate status symbols. In the 1980s, a car phone meant you had arrived. A real telephone handset, mounted on the center console, hardwired directly into the car, and connected to a large external antenna. At a time when most people became unreachable the moment they left home, you could make a phone call while driving, and the technology behind it was serious. Early car phones used powerful transmitters, much stronger than those inside modern smartphones, because cellular towers were still few and far between. But there was a catch. They were incredibly expensive to install, and even more expensive to use. Then something happened. Mobile phones became smaller, cheaper, and eventually, small enough to fit inside your pocket. Suddenly, bolting a telephone permanently into one car made absolutely no sense. The car phone didn't really fail. The technology it helped introduce simply made it unnecessary. This one is genuinely clever, and much older than most people realize. The idea is simple. When you turn the steering wheel, the headlights turn with you. Instead of illuminating the road straight ahead, they illuminate the corner you're actually driving into. Modern cars can do this electronically. But decades ago, engineers were already doing it mechanically. In 1948, the Tucker 48 had a third headlight mounted in the center. Turn the steering wheel, and the headlight turned with it. Years later, Citroën took the idea even further. Cars like the DS and the SM used headlights that could swivel with the steering. Some systems could even compensate for the car's movement to keep the lights properly aimed. It was brilliant mechanical engineering. But it was also complicated, expensive, and regulations in some markets made moving headlights difficult to implement. Eventually, the mechanical systems disappeared, but the idea didn't. Decades later, electronics brought it back. The concept survived. The beautiful mechanical solution did not. And we end with the one everybody actually wants back. For 3 decades, pop-up headlights became one of the defining features of the sports car. Press a button, and 2 panels would rise from the body, revealing the headlights underneath. The Corvette had them, the Miata, the Lamborghini Countach, the Ferrari Testarossa, the Mazda RX-7. An entire era of automotive design was built around them. But here's the interesting part. Pop-up headlights weren't originally created just to look cool, they solved a problem. Headlight regulations required the lights to meet specific positioning requirements, while designers wanted sports cars with incredibly low aerodynamic noses. Pop-ups gave them both, hidden during the day, raised when needed. But eventually, the world around them changed. Pedestrian safety requirements became increasingly important, and a raised headlight created exactly what designers were trying to eliminate: hard structures protruding from the front of the car. At the same time, modern fixed headlights became smaller, brighter, and much easier to integrate into aerodynamic bodywork. Pop-up headlights were never simply banned, they just became increasingly difficult to justify. And in 2004, the Chevrolet Corvette C5 and the Lotus Esprit ended production. They were the last production cars of their era still using them. And since then, pop-up headlights have essentially disappeared from new cars. Of every feature on this list, this might be the one people miss the most, because we didn't just lose a type of headlight. We lost an entire era of car design.